Okay, thanks for coming along this morning. Apologies that it's a bit delayed. We were looking at doing this yesterday afternoon, but things are still, even now, still a little bit in flux. So we've tried to keep up to date as much as we can, and then we felt like the best idea was to do it this morning rather than yesterday afternoon to have the best information at hand, even though these things continue to change. I'll just read out a few of our key bullet points, and then we can open the floor for any questions that you want to ask. As a general statement, the club is still very keen to complete the A-League season. The players feel that there's a sense of still unfinished business. We've met internally, as you can understand, a number of times to canvass the ability or the willingness to complete the season in Australia. There was actually universal acceptance that they wanted to carry on and complete the season, if at all possible. So we've consulted with experts in the professional and the health professional field. We've consulted with the league and with the FFA on how to make this happen. As you would have seen, they've imposed a 14-day mandatory isolation window into Australia now. It was not acceptable for the club to travel to Australia and not train during that 14-day window. So we've managed to, with the help of the league and the FFA, we've found a venue which is acceptable to the New South Wales Department of Health where we can train for 14 days. The plan is that the players will fly out this afternoon. They'll go straight to the training venue where they will train for that 14 days, and then our A-League season will recommence with the view to having it finished within the next two and a half weeks after that. I'd like to thank all our corporate partners who have been very supportive, our fan base who have expressed their support for the club, and honouring their season memberships to date, which has been helpful. Things like that are helpful for the club in these strange and unusual times. We've set up a support group for the wives and partners of the players and staff who are going. We want to see that they are supported throughout this time, and we will activate that. It's underway now, and we'll activate that with just communication channels and with a few events while the players and the staff are away. The rest of the Hyundai A-League is going to go ahead as well, obviously. There is currently a draw being redone. We hope to see that. We've seen a first draw or first cut of that for Wellington Phoenix only, which we are relatively comfortable with given the unusual circumstances, and we expect that potentially will be released sometime today with a view to getting the A-League, like I say, getting the A-League done within the next 5 to 6 weeks. I think that's basically it in terms of where we're at, our current understanding, and I do stress that's our current understanding as of this morning. Shaun Gill here is a football operations manager. He's been heavily involved in the logistics around our Australian base, and obviously with the communication channels with the players. We addressed the players on Sunday night after the game. There's been email communication with the players as well, so we've tried to keep the players as up to date with the communication as we can throughout this the last couple of days. So, like I say, the current plan is to all fly out at 4 o'clock this afternoon. Any questions?
What are the financial implications of losing 2 home games? How much of an impact does that have on the club financially?
Yeah, look, there is a financial implication there, Phil, but to be absolutely honest with you, it's not high on the list, the home game stuff. The more important thing for us, really, as we've dealt with all of this sort of stuff, is being how we can complete the season and keep everybody safe. That venue in Australia is self-isolated, so we're very comfortable there that we will be safe there. But the financial implications in terms of the home games has not been massive on our list, to be fair.
Is there compensation from FFA?
All of that stuff is up in the air. To be honest with you, all of the stuff is ongoing. How we're going to, all the clubs are in the same position. A lot of the clubs are in the same position. Melbourne Victory, for example, are training behind. I can't even train at the moment. So there is a number of clubs that are going to be have a financial implication for this, and we're just going to have to work through that with the league in due course.
So who's paying for this facility?
At the moment, it'll be covered by the league.
You said you were relatively, per se, happy with the revised draw. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, I mean, Shaun can talk to this as well because it sort of relates to the football ops area. In any normal situation, the current plan is to play multiple games per week now, very much what happens in the English Championship. playing maybe potentially 2 to 3 games in a 7-day window to get it through to the end of the season. Under normal circumstances, that would not be an acceptable solution, but all the clubs realise, and all the clubs are in the same boat, is that we have to play a number of games to try and complete the A-League season as soon as possible. You want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be away for potentially 6 weeks at the moment, so the quicker we can get the season done, the better for everyone involved, including our families and those that are left back here. So, yeah, as David said, it's not an ideal scenario, but in these circumstances, yeah, we're pretty comfortable that we can make it work.
Can you just describe the facility that the team's going to be staying and training in? Is that like all encompassing?
Yeah, so we'll have a section of a facility in Sydney. All the players will have their own rooms to keep them sort of, I guess, isolated from each other, but we'll train together, obviously. So, yeah, we're confident that we don't have any cases here right now. So, obviously, there's a lot of logistics that go with that, you know, how we're going to feed the players, lecture theatres, all that sort of stuff to get the stuff done that we need to do to still prepare for games. So, we're extremely comfortable with the facility we've got that can do everything we need and still give the players a little bit of flexibility at the same time, that they're not sort of stuck in a room for 24 hours a day.
The facility we're looking at has hosted professional and international teams.
Because I guess by being effectively in isolation or as a group for 2 weeks, I'm sure it'll probably take a toll on anyone mentally. What measures have been put in place to just support?
Yeah, so we have a sports psychologist that we use here in Wellington, and her services will be extended while we're away in Sydney. So obviously it's not going to be face-to-face time, but then again, you know, we've got WhatsApp and various things like that that we can do that sort of stuff face-to-face if we need. So that's good. The PFA also provides mental health services as well, so if we need to tap into that while we're there, we will. We've done a lot of work to make sure that the players are going to be as comfortable as possible, and mentally it's not going to be as taxing on them as it can be, including putting the stuff in place for the families back here. So we're pretty confident we can get this done, and the playing group has been absolutely amazing. We must say that they're behind it 100%. You know, they all had the option to stay behind if they wanted, but you know, there's sort of mixed emotions. You know, it's obviously something challenging and new that we're not used to, but at the same time, it's been a fantastic season to date, and a lot of them are still keen to see how far they can go.
In terms of assistance for families, what does that look like? Like, are some going to be travelling, and how does that?
Yeah, we put that out to the players. There's really only a couple of guys that have got families here, and after speaking with them at length, the decision was made it was probably better for them to be here rather than going into an isolation situation where at least they've still got their schooling and they've got, you know, their bikes and their, you know, what they can do here. So so the service that we're going to try and provide back here will be more around just communication of what's going on. You know, obviously if someone's got a leaky tap and they need a plumber, then they'll come to the club and we'll help with that. You know, what they can't do, we'll replicate their partner and trying to assist them with everything there, which is good. We've already got a pretty tight group in terms of the players with the partners. They've all got their own little WhatsApp group anyway. The staff have had that as well, and they've mixed and mingled throughout the year quite well. So everyone gets on really well. So we expect it will be challenging, but we feel like they're going to be well looked after at the same time.
Do you accept that the players' health and safety hasn't been put first by continuing the A-League on?
No, like I say, we've consulted with professionals in the space, and number one, ultimately, we asked the players, and we said, look, do you want to go? We're not, to be really clear, we did not mandate this on anybody. The whole group was asked, and at this after the game, if you said if you don't want to go, just let us know, and we're not going to make you go. There's a sense from the playing group that there's unfinished business with the A-League, and they want to finish it off. And like I say, we've put in place these contingencies. When they're in the facility, there are recreational facilities there, things they can do outside football and training. The players are somewhat used to it. It's not unusual for players to go away. We go away on a pre-season tour for a week at a time anyway, so it's not, you know, and we've travelled overseas for pre-season tours. We've been away for more than a week, so it's not unusual for the club to go away for 2 weeks and maybe 3 weeks at a time. Now this is extending that a little bit further, but once they get back into the hotel, which is very much like a usual A-League game, we should be more comfortable with that as well. But no, we like you say, we gave it up. We left it to the players to decide if they wanted to go or not, and not one single player turned us down.
Has anything been said around
No, so I mean it gets raised all the time, but to be honest with you, there is a couple of contingency plans around the current draw. That's what's been completed to date, and then once we get that underway, they're going to start working on the finals plan.
So what's plan is still to have a finals?
Yeah, yes. Well, again, I stress that these things change all the time, but at the moment, the current plan is to go through the A-League season, finish by mid-April. I think it's mid-April. Yeah, mid-April, and then try and go into the final series as soon as possible after that.
If a player in kind of any team did test positive, would you expect the league to probably suspend it at that point?
I can't answer that because those policies, no one understands it. But I think there'd be significant pressure on the league to be suspended or halted. Yeah, that would be my view.
And do you have any concerns too that there's obviously like a lot more cases of coronavirus in New South Wales and in Sydney than there are in Wellington?
Yeah, that's definitely been raised. I think we get a lot of comfort by the fact that we were going as isolated. All of the clubs have significant isolation procedures already in place for the very same reason. They don't want their players exposed. So it's almost like every single club has gone into a isolation window within the club itself. And because we're going, we're completely isolated from the rest of the community, then we're very confident that we're well isolated and secure in that position. You want to add to that?
Yeah. The way it's been set up is such that we're expecting we're going on a pretty quiet flight with not too many people, and we'll make some plans with Qantas when we get to the airport this afternoon around that further. We get picked up by a bus. There's going to be no one else on that bus. We get to the venue, and then basically we're together as a group without any contact with the outside world. Meals will be done in such a way that they'll be set. The people who have set them will leave. The hygiene policies we're comfortable with at the facility. We'll go and eat, and then we'll leave, and then they'll come and clean up. So we're going to have very minimal contact. So in some regards, I guess we're probably going into a pretty safe environment, really, because we're not going to have contact with general public. The second phase of it becomes a little bit, I guess, a little bit more challenging. But at that point, we're likely to move down to Sydney into hotel accommodation, and that'll probably be very isolated anyway at the same time.
The inquiries we've made to date is that when we move to the hotel, we'll have a whole floor to ourselves, we'll have a room to ourselves for meals and in and out. And because of the nature of the games, it'll be very much hotel to game, with very little in between and not much time for exposure.
And where will the two Phoenix home games be played at the other venue?
In a Sydney venue, yet to be decided. We've put a suggestion to the league, and that's been tentatively approved, which we're comfortable with. But it's not yet confirmed.
And how early is in that initial draw? Can you say that the first game is from the quarantine period? Because I think you said yesterday potentially looked in that night, but 10.
Yeah, that was our original thought because the idea would be to get them completed as soon as possible. The draft draw has us playing on the first Saturday after the window, which actually works quite well for us because it enables us to get out of the isolation camp into a hotel where we're settled, have a few trainings potentially at the venue we're going to play at, and then have a game. But again, it's all subject to the draw being confirmed.
Shaun, in terms of a daily, understand you're going with players, in terms of a daily routine, is that something you've put in place, what that looks like in terms of temperature checks, etc.?
Yeah, so we have thermometers that we'll take with us, and that'll be part of the planning. But other than that, it's going to be pretty much business as usual. There'll be breakfast, we'll train, there'll be lunch. Some days there'll be a gym session in the afternoon. Then there'll be dinner, and that's going to be 14 days of that. The thing we're most pleased about is there are recreation spaces there, like a gym with basketball, table tennis, some lecture theatres with big screens. So the boys will take PlayStations. The Wi-Fi is one we'll need to check on when we get there because obviously there'll probably be a bit of Netflix going, so we just need to make sure the streaming quality is good enough for them to be able to be comfortable. So, yeah, we're comfortable with the routine. It's not going to be a lot different from when we go away for 3 or 4 days. It's just now going to be for sort of 3 to 4 weeks.
How tough was it finding a suitable facility to meet all these kind of requirements?
Yeah, we had a few options that we put forward to FFA, who's sort of been working on our behalf with the state government there, and it came down to the New South Wales state government deciding on what was most appropriate. And the scenario we came up with was probably our preferred one for the isolation part.
Have you ever said what the facility is?
No, obviously, because of it needing to be isolation, we don't want to have that out in the public forum because we don't need people turning up there.
What role did the New Zealand or Australian government play in getting the green light to you guys train in isolation?
The federal government was not involved, it was the state government. So we have contacts into New South Wales Department of Health, and they're the one that helped us source the venue. And our contacts at the league was liaising with the New South Wales state government.
So you didn't have to talk to the New Zealand government to lobby at all?
No, not in this particular instance, no.
Excuse me for not knowing your exact draw, but are you still nationwide in Australia, or are you trying to play just in? Are you just playing in?
We won't leave New South Wales.
We won't, yeah. All our games will be in Sydney. Oh, no, apart from the way.
One in Newcastle.
Yeah, we do. There is one away game we will go to Newcastle.
That's obviously good.
Yeah.
It suits us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in fact, in some ways, as an example, in some ways, the fact that we're going to be based in Sydney helps us with some of our travel plans, and at least removing that as an obstacle or a barrier.
That's why the draw becomes workable. Playing every 3 or 4 days and not having to travel around Australia makes that a lot easier.
Is it going to be for the whole A-League, or is it just games involving
There is, again, it's not my place to release the draw, but there are certain plans in place to have the A-League based out of 2 hubs, being Melbourne and Sydney.
Under the draw, you're saying it's 3 or 4 days between every regular season game through the end, is it? So the other teams won't have that because other teams will be more spaced out while you guys are self-isolating their playing.
Correct.
So how much of a disadvantage is that, or is it not a big deal?
Look, in these uncertain times, you can't worry about that type of thing. You just have to get on with what's put in front of you. The good thing is we've got points on the board right now, so we're comfortable where it's at.
I mean, inevitably, some clubs will have that as well. I mean, Melbourne Victory, for example, they're in 2 weeks self-isolation too. So they've got to come out of that and still play their games in the same window, the same that we will. So that'll have flow-on implications to everybody else. Under the current draw, we had 1 week where we had a bye anyway, which was the international window. So there's actually only 2 games. One was the Sydney make-up game, and the other one was our next game, which have actually been affected by this, and they had to be rescheduled into later on in the season.
So for the remaining 6 games, Shaun, how big a window will it be from that first Saturday after isolation?
I think we're looking at about 2.5 to 3 weeks, right? Yeah. But we'll travel. We're travelling with 24 players, so all our contracted players, plus Sam Sutton and Zach Jones, will come as well. So we've got a full squad, and everyone will probably get used.
How do you surely feel about the player welfare, because they're all in the same place all of the time, so there's a little bit of boredom, but of course you're training and playing so often that I suppose that negates that a little bit, but also there's a physical fatigue factor as well. So how difficult is it going to be to manage that individually?
We've got a very, very good S&C staff and physio staff, and the coaching staff obviously are on top of all this. So, yes, it's going to be challenging, and yes, it could be a little bit boring at times, but as you say, once you go into playing every 3 or 4 days, you effectively play, you recover, you prepare, you play. So it's going to keep them on their toes to a certain extent. And we'll do everything we possibly can to make sure that the players are comfortable. There's a lot of detail that we still haven't worked through, like do they have board games at the facility we're going to? If they don't, then we've got a liaison with FFA who will help us with whatever we need to bring in to make that happen. So by the time we get to the end of the 14 days, hopefully the players are feeling good and ready to go.
And playing to empty stadiums as well.
Yeah, look, it's going to be interesting. We haven't had that scenario as yet. It was obviously quite bizarre watching the New Zealand-Australia cricket game at the SCG. And then obviously a couple of the A-League games too. We take Sydney-Perth with 4,000 people there. It's not empty, but that's pretty quiet. So, look, at the end of the day, obviously the crowd gives the players a lift, particularly our home crowd. Our fans are fantastic, but the players are also focused on the pitch at the same time. So we don't see that being a massive issue.
The fact that the team's playing so well, obviously, if there is a final series, it's still in contention to win the A-League. How much did that drive the decision to push on and send the team to Australia?
You'd probably have to ask the playing group that, but like I say, when we addressed the players on Sunday night after the game, there was not one single dissenting voice. No one was saying, "Oh, this makes me uneasy" at all. They were going, "Yeah, we want to carry on. We want to go as deep as we can into the A-League final." So that was really encouraging. Same with the staff. You got to, we had to. You have to realise all of the support staff are going, and it's going to affect their families as well. And not one single staff member said, "No, I don't feel comfortable in going." And in fact, even non-playing players wanted to attend want to go with the team as well. So that shows you the unity within the team. That every single player wanted to be a part of it. Because there is something special about this group, there's no doubt about it. In terms of the way it's being led by Ufi and Stephen Taylor and the senior players, they all want to be part of it. And, you can see by the form. Look at the form and the way they're playing. I've said this before, I'll say it again, there's not one single team that the Wellington Phoenix are afraid of in the A-League now. And we really back ourselves to go out and beat anybody.
So the players that have family in Sydney that are isolated from...
Correct. Until that 14-day window, expires.
Has Luke already travelled?
Luke De Vere was a special case. So Luke De Vere's wife is pregnant, and we wanted to get her back. Given all the uncertainty, we wanted to get her back to her family in Brisbane as soon as we can. So Luke accompanied her back to Brisbane yesterday, and is already there. And we've got a plan in place for Luke to meet up with the team.
And that's likely to be today, so he'll miss the birth?
He'll meet up with the team. Yeah, he'll meet up with the team when we arrive there later on this afternoon.
I guess just one more on the financial implications for next season. Would you expect us to create a hole for next season?
Look, nobody really knows, except that the loss of the revenue for the final series, and if we're playing behind closed doors, would be significant. No doubt about it.
What about I know in other sports, pressure's possibly not the right word, but the broadcasters are keen to get live action. Did that play a part, do you think, in the A-League FFA's decision?
I think every single club is aligned. Every single club wants to see out the season to the best of our ability, and I don't know. I haven't talked to the players within each individual club, but certainly talking to the CEOs have a regular teleconference every day currently, just to update on everything that's going on. And to date, all the clubs are aligned that they want to see out the season. So that's really the basis that all the clubs are going from.
Are you eligible for the government's subsidy?
Yeah, we should be. We're looking into that now.